Movie Podcast. Cine-Men 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 Movie Podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new, marvelous episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. See what I did there? It's going to be an awesome show today, guys. I'm one of your hosts, Zach. We're talking about all things Spider-Man Brand New Day, talking Tom Holland, some Zendaya, Marvel. Where are we going? Where are we not going? I think it's going to be a fun episode. It's obviously one of the biggest movies of the year so far. So we got that. We got a special guest joining us today. We got a giveaway that we're going to be talking about here in a couple minutes. But before we get to all that, how's everyone doing? Let me introduce everybody. We got the other Spider-Men in the group. We got Johnny. What's going on, man?
What's up?
And we got our special guest returning, if you remember our American History X episode, Carson. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm really glad that all the listeners were clamoring for me to return. I mean, I didn't want to come back, but by popular demand, I guess here I am.
I mean, we just had so many emails, Carson, that we had to I know we couldn't get you on the Odyssey, so we begged you for Spider-Man. So we're glad you're here, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I had a really good time last time, and I'm looking forward to this discussion. Somehow, pretty much every Tuesday between American History X and now, I've had something going on, and so this is the first time I've been able to sit down and talk about a movie with you guys.
Hey, man, we're glad to have you. And life happens. We got to roll with the punches, and so here we are. We're not going to do, this is kind of a special episode. We're not going to do no recent watches or top 5 or anything today.
We're kind of in transition.
Yeah, we're kind of in the middle of a transition. We're going to start that next week. But before we get to Spider-Man, Johnny, I think you have some special announcements and a giveaway to do.
So we do have a giveaway for everybody who participated in the Facebook and Instagram and X Spider-Man giveaway. You get a Spider-Man Brand New Day poster. You get a $40 San Marcos gift certificate that you can use at any time of your choosing. The winner has been picked, and the giveaway goes to Nathan for commenting on the Facebook page. You win the sensational Spider-Man giveaway. So congratulations. Make sure you let everybody know who and where you won. Before we get started, yes, there will be spoilers.
Yes.
I think we'll do like a quick non-spoiler review.
Yeah.
And then after that, we will announce when we get spoiler heavy. So
yes. At official DNG, yes. We'll warn you when we get to the big spoilers.
Yeah. But before we continue on, I want to thank you to San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, located at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, for the giveaway gift card. You can give them a phone call if you wanted to go order at 405-685-7773. Again, San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, great food and even better customer service. Let them know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you. And again, Nathan, you have won our sensational Spider-Man giveaway. So, Zach, the floor is yours, sir.
Congratulations, Nathan. Spoiler alert, I am Nathan. So if you just want to mail that to me, or I can meet you somewhere in Oklahoma City, that's awesome. But no, big congratulations to Nathan. We like to do these giveaways every so often throughout the year. And specifically for big movies like this, we might do a not in-game, Doomsday one at the end of the year, but we'll see. So, all right, guys. Today we're talking Spider-Man Brand New Day. It is currently very highly reviewed. 8.2 on IMDb, 90% Rotten Tomatoes, and 98 Fandango score. With a stacked cast of Tom Holland, Zendaya, Sadie Sink, Jacob Batalon, John Bernthal, Tremel Tamil, Michael Mando, and Mark Ruffalo. Directed by Mr. Destin Daniel Cretton. This film had a theatrical release of July 31st, 2026, and with a $225 million budget. Guys, it's only been in theaters for 4 days, and it's already grossed $1 billion, $1.053 billion, at the global box office. So, needless to say, I think this film is a success. I don't know about you guys, but it is a success box office wise. But let's talk about it in a with the goggles on, with the Cine-Men movie podcast goggles on. Peter Parker devotes his life to protecting New York City as a full-time Spider-Man, but as the demands on him intensify, the pressure sparks a surprising physical evolution that threatens his existence, even as a strange new pattern of crime gives rise to one of the most powerful threats he's ever faced. Dun, dun, dun. All right, guys, we all saw it this weekend. Curious if anyone got to see it twice. Carson, I'll start off with you. What was your thoughts? Were you excited to going into this for this film? And then what were your thoughts, not spoiler, when you walked out?
So I think going into it, I was in kind of a weird place because I've been a comic book nerd for a long portion of my life. And so like whenever the MCU first started, it was like amazing to me because now all of these things that I
Oh, okay.
We lost
All right, guys,
Carson.
technical difficulties, folks. We're gonna try and get Carson back. We'll jump back to him when we get him. Johnny, what were your thoughts? What was your anticipation, and what were your thoughts walking out?
If I can steal a line from Zendaya, I was expecting disappointment, so I wouldn't be disappointed when the movie was over.
Mhm.
And I kind of just felt like, I don't know. I'm not going to get in spoiler heavy to it. I really like the film a lot, but I'm not sure. I had a lot of fun with this movie.
Okay.
But I'm just gonna end the non-spoiler review with questionable.
Like just quality, or just like just the point of the film?
I'm gonna say just the point of the film.
Okay. So I went ahead. I know we don't do recent watches, but I know we both kind of did we both rewatched No Way Home leading into this. And so I just needed to know like exactly where we were with Peter Parker, post Endgame. And I know with the whole, snap thing, not snap thing, but the Doctor Strange's spell. No Way Home is still a really fun film. I haven't seen it since the theatrical release, honestly. But I still thoroughly enjoyed it on the rewatch. Going into this, I was a little anxious given the 2.5 hour runtime of what all are we doing with this film? Essentially, are we leading to something big? Are we just kind of doing like independent story? In the main Marvel universe of where we're at, what does this film matter? And man, I walked out. I thoroughly enjoyed this. There's a lot of good in this. I do have some nitpicks here and there, but overall, I think this is a very, very fun Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I had a lot of fun with this too. I was not last week. If you guys remember, before we left the episode, I said do not go in expecting Doomsday. Just go in and expecting a fun.
Michael,
just go in and expect a fun Spider-Man movie, and that's what I did. To me, I have some small nitpicks. We're gonna get into it when we start talking like spoiler heavy. But I think this is probably maybe one of the best Marvel movies since Endgame, if not the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's the attention to detail that they finally gave Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into some facts, and it's not spoiler, so, well, it might be spoiler, but we're 10 minutes into the episode. I'm going to go ahead and say we're 10 minutes into the episode, and we will start being spoiler heavy for Spider-Man Brand New Day. So if you haven't donated any money to this movie, go check it out and hang out.
It's not like it needs any more, but yeah.
Yeah, and go hang out. So I'm gonna go ahead and go right off the bat. Is I heard that this movie was up in the air up until just maybe a year and a half ago. Tom Holland had supposedly like denied every story arc of Brand New Day, including bringing back the multiverse and Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. They were scheduled to be in Brand New Day, but Tom Holland felt like it wasn't needed. And I kind of agree. Like, I feel like Spider-Man is so good on his own. There's so many different things you can do with Spider-Man that his story arc and his background is like just so good that you don't need that attention to detail with the multiverse. Like, let's move on from the multiverse. We can touch on it at a different time. Yeah. Let's get into some of the lore of Spider-Man. So, if some of the small nitpicks that I said I would probably have with this movie was, it's a very, very well, but very, very heavily edited film. Like, it feels like there's like 2 or 3 movies in one here. And you can feel like they may not have known where they were going to go at some points while going on with the actual movie.
Yeah.
But at no point does that make this a bad movie. Like I said, it was edited. It was edited very, very well together. But you can kind of see where they were splicing the story in between everything, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree. I think my biggest nitpick with this movie was I didn't feel the length of the film, like the pacing of it. I thought it flowed really well for it to be 2 hours and 25 minutes. I just thought by the time we got to, again, we're in spoilers, by the time we got to the Hulk Spider-Man fight in the DODC building, and then that was finished, I was like, oh, we still got like another 45, 50 minutes left of this. You know, it was kind of like, how much more can there possibly be? And so I wasn't checking my phone or nothing like that, but it was kind of like, okay, I was kind of thinking about all the different scenes I remembered from the trailers. Like, okay, we hit that. We haven't got to that. What does that mean? So, you know.
Well, this is another one of those Marvel movies that does a very good job of, here's Scorpion, here's Tombstone, but it's not the main ingredient of the movie.
Yeah.
The
fact that Scorpion is only in this for about 10 minutes is kind of shocking.
Same. Yeah, that's how I felt. Even with the hand ninja sequences.
Yeah, and that's like one of the main posters.
Yeah, the poster, the trailer, it makes it seem like them and Tombstone are like a very main part of this movie. I'm going to get into heavy spoilers. So again, if you don't want to hear anything about the name I'm about to say, just pause it or don't listen. But actually, you know what? I'm not going to deter listeners. No, listen, get the movie spoiled for yourself. Jean Grey, to me, was not that big of a surprise as maybe as I thought it would be.
Yeah. And this is by no means, this is not a hit on Sadie Sink. I thought she did very good in this movie.
Very good.
But as Jean Grey, I think going in, there was so much fan theories and controversy and who is she playing? Because it still got me. I'll be honest. I audibly gasped when you saw the name Jean Grey pop up on the screen. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's, but like in retrospect, I was like, that makes like I should have figured that out because she has the auburn hair and like she was really, she did press for this movie, but very little because everyone just wanted to ask her like, who is she playing?
Well, see, I felt the opposite. I saw the press and I'm like, I know who she's playing, right? Just from looking at her. So they didn't even try to keep it hidden.
Yeah.
And then the moment you see the actual sequences take place in the movie of the mind talk going from one body to another, I'm like, she's an X-Men, it's Jean.
Yeah.
So, but again, that wasn't like a knock on the film. That to me, I just felt like it wasn't very well kept secret. But it wasn't also a like an oh my gosh moment to me.
Yeah, I audibly gasped. The people behind me audibly gasped. my mom had to lean in and say, like, who is this? I was like, she's an X-Men. Don't worry about it. That'll be discussed later.
So even though that was cool, I feel like Spider-Man didn't need that in his story.
Yeah.
Like I would have liked to keep that away from Spider-Man, but I'll let it focus go back to Carson.
Yeah, Carson's back, guys. Sorry,
so I had some technical difficulties. I'll consider that my karmic punishment for making the joke about people clamoring for me to come back.
No, we'll back up a little bit. Carson, what was your initial thoughts leaving the film, and just pick up where you left off?
Yeah, so I went into this film kind of feeling a little burnt out on Marvel films. I kind of feel like they've kind of been dropping the ball lately, but I grew up with Spider-Man. Like, some of my earliest memories involve the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies or the 90s animated show. Like, I remember getting a blank VHS tape and like getting up on Saturday morning to like tape a Spider-Man animated series rerun on the VHS tape. So I had a kind of a mixed feelings. And then whenever I came out, I think that initially I kind of didn't know how I felt. And, but kind of after reflecting, since seeing it, I think that I really like a lot of decisions that were made, and I have some little quibbles with it, but I don't really have anything that's major. So I think you said on IMDb it has an 8.2 score. That honestly feels about right, and I kind of I think that whenever I first walked out of the movie theater, I was thinking more of like a 7. But I think after thinking about it, I think I kind of know a reason why I think it didn't connect with me that first time. And so I'll kind of get into that on the spoiler section. But I think that I will enjoy it a lot more on a second watch, which I'm already planning to do. And so I'm a lot more positive now on it than I was whenever I initially left the theater, but that's kind of the broad overview.
Okay.
See, so that's what I want to ask, because I'm in the same boat. Like, after the movie, I kind of had to sit with my feelings for a couple of days, and I saw it late. I probably saw it Sunday evening. So today's just Tuesday. So I'm still kind of sitting in my big pot of stew, if you will, and I'm still kind of just like, spoiler territory. We're 18 minutes in, so I'm kind of in that same loop that you are, Carson. Like, I enjoyed the movie, but I still have some questions and some small nitpicks about it. But I think the next time around, I'm gonna just absolutely just clinch onto it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like Carson. I'm kind of like both of you guys. I'm actually excited to see it again. Like, I'm hopefully, in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to see it again. I think one of the biggest things that I loved about this was it just went back to basics. It went back to Spider-Man being a hero of, around saving people around New York. And it leads into, eventually it does lead into the main storyline. But I think that's something that I thoroughly enjoyed, of the montage of him saving people. It's like, we haven't got that since probably the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, maybe the Andrew Garfield one.
Yeah, I was telling a friend that's one thing that I really loved about this movie was I feel like this is the first Tom Holland movie that really felt like it took place in like a lived-in New York. Like, his Homecoming movie, like, it was technically, parts of it were set in New York, but it was kind of like the suburbs, or on a plane that was leaving from Avengers Tower. We didn't really see a lot of Spider-Man swinging through the city. And then Far From Home didn't take place in New York. And then even No Way Home, which took place in New York. I don't know, it just felt like a very sterile, very devoid of life, and with and the most interesting visual scenes with the city were those with Doctor Strange messing everything up. So that's not really a standard New York, but this one, I think, more so than any of the Tom Holland ones, like I really felt like this was a New York that was at least somewhat lived in and felt like it was his home and his place to protect in a way that I don't really feel like his previous movies have really done a great job of highlighting.
That's true. You know what else they've done like a really good job of is all these Spider-Man movies have been released around a big Avengers film.
Yeah.
Like so it kind of takes away from maybe what the Spider-Man movie should be, but it's still amazing is that even though these are being released around super huge Avengers movies, we're still getting like a good quality Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
You know, being released around Endgame or Infinity War or right after Endgame or right before Doomsday, like we could have gotten a complete like cluster of a film, but we haven't gotten any of those. And this one to me is really surprising because you're just months before, you know, one of the biggest resets in Marvel history, and you get a very detailed quality Spider-Man movie.
They were in spoiler territory, right?
Yeah. So
okay,
go ahead.
Just want to double check because you
have thoughts about it. Go ahead and share.
I think that one reason why I walked out having confused feelings about this movie was because as soon as Sadie Sink's character was revealed, there was a part of me that in the back of my mind was going, okay, what are they setting up? What is going to be the big climax of the movie? What other movies are they setting up? And I was kind of like I think a part of me was almost dreading the final act because I thought that it was going to go for big spectacle over character and that it was going to be more focused on setting up future movies than finishing this story.
Yeah.
But that didn't end up happening, and I ended up really liking what they did with the ending and the much smaller and more personal touch. That, you know, this wasn't a world ending disaster, you know, lives were at stake, but it was a much more personal story and personal finale, and I really like that. But I think that kind of that fear that it was going to go in a bad direction kind of like haunted the movie throughout for me, and so I think that played a part in kind of my confused feelings because I was almost expecting something to go wrong in a weird way.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Carson. We're kind of jumping all over the place, but it's fine. We'll make it work. The final conflict between Spider-Man and Jean Grey, I thought was the most emotional part of the movie. I mean, you know, like you said, they could have easily, okay, here comes Professor X, here comes Cyclops, here's our version of Wolverine. No,
yeah, I love the non-twist of what VMAX is.
Yeah, but you know, I know there's going to be some people that be like, really, we're just looking at the air conditioner in the building. That's what we're looking at. But there's something very emotionally driven that drives Sadie Sink through the entire film. But when she finally reveals, when she figures out what VMAX is, it's realized it's like the last thing that her sister sees. That's what sets her off. It's not about, you know, getting revenge. It's like, my sister died here and there's nothing I could have done to save her. And then the inner mental fight between Spider-Man and Jean Grey, it's literally two characters talking about their past trauma, and that's what I loved about it.
Yeah, I like whenever Peter has to deal with trauma, work-life balance, Spider-Man versus Peter stuff. And so I really like what this movie did. And I really like I was surprised by how much I liked the inclusion of some of the characters from the wider Marvel universe, because I kind of saw them and I was like, oh, can't we just give Spider-Man like his own movie? Like, we had Iron Man in Homecoming, we had Nick Fury in Far From Home, we had Doctor Strange in No Way Home. Can't we just give Spider-Man his movie? But I feel like the choice of characters didn't feel random. I really like the way that Punisher and Hulk and Jean Grey in some way either reflect the arc that Spider-Man needs to go through in this story or contrast with him. Like, I think it was really something that the movie didn't like focus on too much. Like, it just had a few simple lines and then left it for the audience to draw. But I love the way how that Jean Grey and her sister like were abandoned by their mother once they developed powers, and so that was something that was emotionally damaging to them. And then Peter obviously wasn't raised by his parents, but he had Aunt May. So we have one character who's abandoned by their biological family, and another one who has a healthy relationship with a foster family. I'm going to, it's his aunt, but I'm going to say foster family. And so I thought that the way those mirrored each other and contrasted with each other, like, because Peter grew up in a healthier environment, he was able to reach out to somebody and show them that that things were going to be okay.
So I feel like that's where, right when you hit the nail right on the head, Carson, when you were talking about how Spider-Man hasn't fully gotten his own feature film. Like, they've had to sprinkle some help in some of these movies. And I think that's what has made me just feel off about this movie is the moment Jean was introduced into the film, I was in that same mindset that you were about, okay, this is going to lead into something huge at the end of the movie, and they're going to take away from Peter's story and Spider-Man's story. So I was on the verge of just expecting the unexpected as soon as Jean Grey was announced. I'm like, man, I kind of wanted to see like a 80% Spider-Man movie and 20% mixed in with, some other small things. We really did get a Spider-Man story that didn't get a full ending with his friends, but you got a Jean Grey origin story. So that's where I was like, man, I kind of didn't enjoy the ending until the ending happened. And then like you, I was like, okay, I can live with this. This is good. So I think that's why I want to go see it again. That way I can just enjoy the whole mindset of it's going to have a good ending. It's going to be okay. Yeah. Just because there's an X-Men in it doesn't mean Hugh Jackman's going to show up and ruin the ending for me. It's going to be just fine. But not that he would ruin it, but in my notes here, I have it as like I enjoyed so much. If we just take Jean Grey out of it for a little bit, I enjoyed so much of all the Spider-Man scenes where it feels like a animated television show. Like if you even with the Punisher mixed in with some of that with Frank, like it still feels like an amazing Spider-Man TV show. I think Ned and MJ scenes, I think those were all like must-see scenes. Yeah. Anytime Ned was on the scene, anytime MJ was mixed in there, I was having a good time. Just I could not wait to see what was next with those three characters involved.
Yeah. And I will say one of my nitpicks, and I keep going back and forth of it doesn't bother me, it really doesn't, but it kind of does is so we spend the whole movie with Peter trying to get the courage to try to insert himself back into MJ and Ned's life, right? More specifically with MJ, because that's I think one of the coolest scenes of the film is when you think that she's fallen for him again, and it's actually Jean messing with her mind. I thought that was one of the coolest twists in the movie. And I was talking about it with a coworker at work, is maybe that scene where he finally confesses to her that she sees the love letter on the table, but the last shot of the movie is him reconnected with Ned. I just felt like those two scenes should have been reversed. Like it should have been MJ at the end of the film. What do you guys think about that?
I kind of liked the fact that he and MJ didn't immediately rekindle their romance. I kind of like that. I think that it took some restraint on the part of the writers and to kind of explore it in a way that I found more emotionally mature, like, like acknowledging, like, I don't have these memories that you have, so like I'm not the same person that you have in your head. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that there's the possibility that they could eventually rekindle their relationship in a future film, but for this film I kind of like that it didn't undo the sacrifice at the end of No Way Home. And I kind of liked how that kind of tied into Peter's arc, where he's been Spider-Man pretty much nonstop and has kind of given up on being Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of his arc through the movie is learning that he needs that balance. And so I kind of like that. He doesn't quote unquote get the girl, because then it kind of has a message of, you need to get a girlfriend to be happy. And instead it's just, you need friends, you need a healthy balance, a healthy work-life dynamic. And so I kind of like the way personally, but I can definitely understand people feeling differently.
So this is going to be like 3 different perspectives, which is cool. Zach, you wanted the MJ ending. Carson, you like the best friend ending. I feel like we didn't need either, and I would have liked to see it end just the way every other Spider-Man movie ended, and that's him going off into the city with his Spider-Man suit on, glaring off into the city, like what's next for Spider-Man. So, but I do like, I like the way both y'all put it, like the healthy, balanced life relationship. That's, that it teases that, Carson, throughout the whole movie about how he can be both Peter and Spider-Man. So, but if I had to pick, that's, maybe that's just like the 90s superhero fan in me. Like the Batman movies ending, Spider-Man ending with the superhero looking out into the city. That's
the Christopher Reeve Superman movies with him flying out into space.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, you're not wrong about that, because other than the ending of Spider-Man 3, each one of those films shows, Spider-Man, swinging off into the city to, go help out.
Yeah.
Even with the Andrew Garfield ones, they do the exact same thing with that.
Yeah.
And so I thought, before we actually got the reveal of Jean Grey, I kept thinking in my brain, and I know it's a very different character, I kept thinking it was the villain was going to be the Spot that was across the universe, because he could jump through people and time and everything. And so in my brain, I was like, oh, so they're going to bring the live action version of, I kept thinking it was the Void, but that's the character, that's the villain from Thunderbolts. Yeah. And so I kept thinking like, oh, okay, they're going to bring the Void in this. And so maybe, and even up until the point where it was revealed who Sadie Sink is, I was like, is she Gwen Stacy? Is she, just like it's going to be a different love interest that Peter falls for instead of MJ? So I don't know. I kept playing with it all the way up until the reveal.
So at any point, since she was a redhead, did any of you guys, like when you saw her do the press release and you didn't know who she quite was yet, did anybody ever think she was actually a Mary Jane from another universe?
I feel like I very early on saw people speculating that she was Jean Grey, and I don't know how much of that was just speculation and that happened to be right, and how much of if it came from leaks. But I kind of had it in my head very early on that at least the internet thought she was Jean Grey, and so it was, and so I kind of went in kind of like not thinking about it because I kind of didn't, because kind of as we said earlier, like having Jean Grey in it, you think that that's going to lead to the X-Men showing up and stealing the show, or and so I kind of went in like purposefully not thinking about who she was, so I kind of didn't have a strong opinion on it because I was purposefully trying not to think about it.
But see, like when you go look at the cast on IMDb, even as far as early as like last week, like her name came up as Jean Grey, but like I could remember like a week before, No Way Home popped up. If you look at the cast on IMDb, like Tobey Maguire didn't pop up, Andrew Garfield didn't pop up, but Jean Grey has popped up for at least like a week and a half on IMDb as Jean Grey. So I'm like, they didn't really do a good job of trying to keep that, hidden.
I think they did up until like a month before the release. It just always said Sadie Singh, but it didn't say like it kept it as like a unknown character. So I think they did, and I think the fanboys got in there and just said, "Oh yeah, she's Jean Grey," whether it was or not.
Zach, you also don't look anything up on IMDb about any.
I literally tried to, going into this. There was one thing that was kind of spoiled, that it was Florence Pugh, which would have been an awesome reveal that Yelena was in this. But other than that, I went in not to know anything. So, and I guess speaking of Florence Pugh, what do you think when Yelena showed up?
I think that this movie didn't need her. You could have cut her out. But that being said, she's a fun character. I like her. I like the interaction with her, especially the first interaction with her and Peter in the where he has on his bathing suit but won't take off the mask. I thought that was a good bit, and I'm never gonna be upset about seeing more Florence Pugh in movies.
I was about to say, we're the official podcast of Florence Pugh, so saying that we can cut her out is like no.
Yeah, so was it strictly necessary? No, but I had a good time within her scenes.
Yeah, and her. No, I was just gonna say real quick, like her over the top like accent is just so much fun. When she's talking about the potatoes and how important the potatoes are, I'm like, yeah, she can talk all day long. She's fun.
Are they little? I can't do it justice, but I love her just bit of like, are they little potatoes like just bank robberies, or like big potatoes like Avengers and Thunder and the new Avengers?
Yeah.
I will say though, I think I liked her bit of her being just like the information person of like, oh, this is where you got to go. She didn't actually have like a physical role in the plot, which I think we all appreciate about that. I think, in my opinion, and Carson, you kind of brought this up a little bit ago, is just like I think there was even enough character. There was enough of the Punisher. There was enough of the Hulk. We kind of went back to basics with Hulk of him being just like a mindless monster. And I think it really was Spider-Man and Jean Grey's story, and I think they evened it out perfectly. The ratio of the characters.
Yeah, I actually really liked Punisher and Hulk and how they were used. I really like, again, kind of going back to Peter's arc of finding balance. Like Punisher is kind of what Peter is becoming, not necessarily in killing, but Punisher is just a sad guy living alone who just lives for his mission, and that's kind of what Peter is. And so if Peter doesn't reconnect, he in some way is going to become the Punisher. He may never go as dark as the Punisher or as murder crazy, but he's still going to be that sad loner.
Yeah.
And then Hulk kind of also reflects Peter, because Peter is trying to suppress the quote unquote monster inside him whenever his spider powers are starting to overwhelm his human side, because he hasn't been taking care of himself. And so I really like the way that both of those characters kind of reflect what Spider-Man is going through in some way.
Mm-hmm. And let's
Plus,
talk about
Kevin Bernthal and Tom Holland have a fun chemistry, in my opinion, because they've been in so many things together. I like seeing them together.
I mean, quite literally 2 weeks ago with the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. The mutated powers. I thought they did a good job of using the idea of trauma and just like anxiety to make these alternate powers come alive. The idea of him having the black eyes, I thought, it was like, oh, are they teasing their version of Venom? Like, are they going to bring that into the mix? Which I'm glad they didn't. At the end of the day, it's just like that's just one of the reactions that he has with the mutated powers. One of the things I loved, and it was such a minute moment, is when he finally figures out the organic web slinging. He presses on his vein and it oozes out of him. I was like, that's like a great moment.
Yeah. And he refers to like, hey, Peter too had this, so it can't be that bad.
Yeah. But are you guys glad that Tom Holland and Andrew Garfield had like mechanical webs that they had to build? Are you kind of glad that they kind of went back to the organic web slinging?
I don't have a super strong opinion on either one. I think that generally I tend to go mechanical just because that's more, the Sam Raimi had organic, but most of the time in the comics and in animated series, he has mechanical. So I think I've seen that more, but I don't really have a strong preference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same. I've always looked back to the animated series, and it's just like, to me, that's always going to be home, even before the Sam Raimi movies. So it's always nice that they sprinkle some of that in the comics into some of these Tom Holland movies.
Yeah. And I think if you guys want to talk about the director real quick, I don't know, Destin Daniel Cretton, he's done another Marvel movie that we talked about, Shang-Chi. And I think, what is your, Carson, have you seen that one? And like,
yeah, I remember enjoying it, but I've only seen it once, and I don't really have any super strong opinions looking back.
Yeah, I think that's part of the thing that really worked. I mean, I'm with you guys. I haven't seen Shang-Chi since we saw it in the theater and we did the episode on it. But he's also done a lot of like personal dramas, like The Glass Castle and Just Mercy, the Michael B. Jordan legal film. And I think that's what really worked. They brought someone in that knows how to do drama and character development and applied it to Spider-Man. And I think this is the end result that we got.
Was there a reason though? Hadn't Watts done all the other Spider-Man movies before?
Yeah, leading up to it, I think he was just done. He did 3 of them, and it's going to be hard to beat the last one that you did. So he just kind of he thought it was his time to walk away. And
I wonder. I honestly wonder if it had so much to do with not that, but how many of the ideas were just shot down. Like we had talked about earlier, how bringing back the multiverse was shot down numerous times. Bringing in Toby and Andrew was shot down for this 4th movie. The symbiote, like Venom, was actually shot down for this movie. And I wanted to bring that to you guys' attention too, and see what you guys thought. How Sony and Marvel has canceled all the Spidey spin-off movies and stories. Like they're done, they're canceled, they're not focusing on them anymore. Do you think that ultimately is going to hurt like any lore of Spider-Man, or are you just like, okay, thank goodness we can move on and just focus solely on Spider-Man?
I'm a little disappointed because I kind of enjoyed laughing at some of the really bad Spider-Man spin-offs that they made.
That's the reason why I got canceled. I mean, when you have films like Morbius and Madam Web, and I don't hate the Venom films, but they're just not, they're not the quality that I think they should be.
I was reading something earlier in this week, how Sony at one chance had the option to buy all the other Marvel movies or characters. And they're like, nobody cares about any of the other Marvel characters. They only care about Spider-Man. So we don't need to buy all of the other character, licenses and stuff. And looking back at it, if they would have bought,
hate themselves right now.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's I guess another one of my questions is I feel like Are you guys surprised that it's not even a week into its release that it's already made $1 billion? Does that surprise you, or is it like, yeah, that's not shocking to me?
I'm not surprised that it's doing well. I think that I didn't expect it to hit this level this quickly.
Yeah.
I personally think it's all due to Doomsday. Like, I really do think some people bought tickets to this movie thinking that they're going to get some big lead on to Doomsday. Spider-Man's a heck of a character, and I really do think if Doomsday wasn't behind this, instead of making 1 point, whatever billion at the box office, I think it would have done about 700 million. But I think because Doomsday is just months away, I think you have that extra non-Marvel and non-movie goer say, I want to see what's next. Are we going to get to see Doomsday at the end of Spider-Man?
But I also think it's Spider-Man's always been a profitable character. You go back to that first Tobey Maguire movie, it did gangbusters when it first came out. So it's definitely, say what you will about the business side of it. I mean, Sony definitely placed their marker on a very profitable character, and it's still, that was 2002, so that we're 24 years removed from the first Tobey Maguire film, and we're still making money off of this.
I wanted to ask you guys this, and of course I just lost it, but no. So we were talking about the ending, and I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on the post-credit scene about how, Carson, you had just mentioned this is the first Spider-Man film that felt like Zach, you did too, about he's in his own backyard. He's in New York City. New York City played a big character in this movie. And literally, that's the first thing you get in the post-credit scene is Spider-Man is already off-world and looks like he's in space again. What are you guys' thoughts on that post-credit scene?
I am wondering if that is setting up Doomsday or Secret Wars, because just knowing what happened in the comics, that it makes sense to me that at some point during that, Spider-Man might and the Avengers might go off world. I mean, I'm kind of speaking and I'm kind of hedging my bets by not committing to anything, but I could definitely see like the original Secret War was off planet, and in the 2015 Secret Wars, it was kind of a mashup of a bunch of different dimensions, and so I could definitely see that being less a lead into Tom Holland's Spider-Man 5 and more an Avengers movie, but I really don't know for sure.
I think the general internet theory, if you want to call it that, is that it's either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, and maybe they have to recruit them to fight Doomsday or fight in Secret Wars. I kind of thought, my theory is that it's Miles Morales. They're going to try and bring him in at some point. Like he's in a different universe, and they got to somehow bring him into the fold. Whether either through Doomsday or Secret Wars. So, I think because of the success of the Across the Spider-Verse, and we still have Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I think comes out in March of next year or May or something like that. The success of the Miles Morales character is really, I think it's like got Marvel thinking of like, okay, we really need to bring that version of Spider-Man in. So, my only question to you guys is we're going to talk favorite scenes here in a second, but I kind of thought it would have been a really, really interesting and bold move of the way they played it at the final ending of Jean Grey and Spider-Man, that Punisher shoots Peter. I was just like, that would have been an interesting move if they had killed off Tom Holland, and then they set it up. They have to set it up for somebody else. Were you guys thinking that, or is like, oh no, they're not going to kill him off this quick?
I think the thought did crossed my mind, wondering, because Tom Holland has talked about handing the mantle off to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way, but I was like, something inside me was like, I wouldn't mind seeing it get handed off to somebody else. But then the other side of me was like, we're too close to these two big Avengers movie for them to bring in a new Spider-Man just yet.
Yeah. Do you think they'll wait till after Secret Wars to Tom Holland will say, I'm done, and we're gonna pass on to somebody else?
I am so comic book blind, honestly. I am such a movie fanatic, and I have never kept up with the comic books that I completely don't know what's coming next, to be honest with you. I don't know anything about the Secret Wars. I don't know anything about what Doomsday can do. I just know Doomsday being the Fantastic Four villain from the movies. Like, I don't know what Doomsday is capable of in an Avengers movie for a story.
Carson, have you seen the trailer? I'm sure you have, but like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm familiar with some of the comics that they're pulling from, but usually Marvel Studios does something, puts some twist on it that makes it its own thing rather than a straightforward adaptation of the comics. So I don't want to. So I'm kind of just I'm trying not to make too many predictions, and I'm just going to let whatever happens because it doesn't matter. It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah. Well,
also, sorry, this is just a funny tangent, but whenever my wife and I went to go see Spider-Man Far From Home, like right before the movie started, I said, "Oh, I wonder if they're going to do X, Y, and Z," and then X, Y, and Z all happened. And during the movie, my wife like leaned over and was like, "I hate you." And now there's a rule that I can't speculate to her what's going to happen in a movie, because she's like, "You're right all the time," and I was like, "Okay, I think I was right once, and I got extremely lucky."
That's hysterical. So you're like forbidden to talk right before Doomsday starts.
Yeah.
That makes you kind of wonder, like, if this movie does 1.1 billion, guys, what do you think the number is going to be for Doomsday? If we could just fantasy book and 4 days are over, Doomsday's been out for 4 days. What is it going to hit? What do you guys think it'll hit?
I think it'll hit 1.5 in the first 4 days. 1.5 billion. I'm not even like the fact that we have like a new big like Oppenheimer Barbie event with this and Dune Part 3. We're calling it Doomsday, or we should call it Pew Day because Florence is in both films. So, yeah, that's going to break all new records, I think. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think that it's going to make a lot of money. I am curious, like, I think that bring back a lot of characters like the original X-Men and stuff like that. I think that will appeal to what I am going to lovingly refer to as internet nerds, because I am one of them.
Yeah.
But I am curious if to a general audience, or at least a set of the general audience, like bringing in all these old characters is going to turn them off to the movie, like make them feel like out of the loop, like confused, like, wait, I thought we already were done with this version of Cyclops and this version of Mystique. What's going on? I do wonder if that might take away a little bit. I don't know. I feel like it's going to make a lot of money, but I have no idea how. I don't even know what the upper limit will be.
I mean, there's so much going on in that trailer that there's a theory. The general consensus is that this is going to be like a 3.5 hour film before it's all said and done.
I saw a 2 hour 45-minute runtime, like for sure. So I don't know how much has been cut, or still none of it's all speculation from now. But I think Dune Part 3 is going to be the wild card in all this. In all this, like, does Dune Part 3 take a back seat, or are those average moviegoers who just can't wait to see that in IMAX say, no, Dune Part 3 deserves my first round of my first round of money?
I'm going to be honest. It's going to get my first round of money.
Yeah.
But I'm also one of those weirdos who pays for the AMC A list, so I can technically do both in the same day.
I don't do the AMC when I do the Regal one, but I mean you said, I think it was one of y'all said it, is like the fact that Dune has IMAX and Avengers doesn't. That's still kind of shocking to me a little bit.
Well, Spider-Man didn't have IMAX, and it still blew everything out of the water.
Yeah,
it doesn't open up in IMAX until next week.
Yeah, and so it's shocking to me, really. I mean, I don't know if this movie, I don't know if Spider-Man was filmed with IMAX cameras. I mean, maybe, I'm sure it was, because a lot of Marvel movies are, but the fact that, like you said, Christopher Nolan owns the IMAX films until IMAX theaters for like another week and a half. I mean, that is impressive.
Yeah, I don't think none of that'll matter.
No. They'll still make. I think by the time we get to, I don't even know what the next big movie is. I guess Resident Evil. I guess that's the next big one in September. I'm sure it'll be up to, if not close to, $2 billion.
Yeah, should be fun.
But guys, rounding this out, do you guys have any favorite scenes or anything else that really stuck out to you?
So you want to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think I would probably go with a lot of the interaction scenes with Frank. I think he just brings a different hidden energy to this movie. Just not only the actor, but the character in general. It was a pleasure also seeing Bruce Banner and the Hulk in different scenes of this movie. And the slight disadvantage Peter had to the black eyes and the more aggression feeling of this Spider-Man, like he felt different. He felt like he was on the verge of changing and it doing some harm not only to himself but everybody around him. Mm-hmm. And then I dug the relationship he had with the sergeant, I think, or whoever the lady was. She also sounded Puerto Rican, and I was like, well, she is Puerto Rican, but I was like, wait a minute, are you Miles's mom in this movie?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought about that, honestly.
But I enjoyed his, and I want to stress this enough. Zendaya, MJ, and Ned, to me, they stole all the scenes in this movie. Like, I just enjoyed every scene they were in.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Carson, you want to give a couple favorite scenes?
Yeah, I think there are a lot to choose from. I really did enjoy that opening montage, kind of showing him as Spider-Man throughout the I assume 4 years that MJ and Ned were off at college, and we kind of get some recreations of comic book covers and just kind of see him dealing with a lot of different supervillains. I thought that was very fun. But I do really agree with what was just said. I think that the MJ and Ned stuff ended up being my favorite stuff from the movie. And I really like pretty much any scene with them. I also really like the end confrontation of the movie. I like the moment where Peter verbally acknowledges that he's not just Spider-Man, he's not just Peter, he is both, he can be both. And then so he's kind of reached a healthier place for himself, and then immediately turns around and helps Jean Grey reach a healthier place for herself. And so I think that end sequence means a lot to me, because I feel like one of the reasons that I first got into superhero comics and media was because I really liked the idea that a lot of these are people who have their own trauma and their own issues, but instead of using that as an excuse to lash out at the world, they try to use that to make them kinder and to try to help others and do what they believe is right. And so kind of that scene of Peter experiencing personal growth and then using that to help him help somebody else meant a lot to me and reminded me why I first got into this subgenre in the first place.
For sure.
Nice. Hell, Carson, I can't follow that. That's a great analysis. I'm gonna like the final fight, the Spider-Man versus the Hand versus Jean, the telepathic mind lock that she puts on the city. I thought was a really cool visual. We didn't talk about that. I thought that was a great climax. The MJ possession scene where Jean is in her mind and making Peter think that she's fallen in love with him again, I thought was great. The opening montage of him being the hero. I thought there was some really cool swinging sequence in this that we haven't got a lot of good, not good, but a lot of iconic Spider-Man swinging through New York City. I thought we went back to basics with that. I thought some of the upside down where he's just holding onto the pole and then just falls backward as he puts the mask on. Those scenes were really cool. I think it was the first time we ever seen like his eyes through the mask as he's swinging. I thought was really cool. And then the Yelena conversations were always great. Anytime Florence gets to be on the screen is cool. And then I did a lot more than just a few. The Hulk versus Spider-Man sequence is actually it was cool to see mindless Hulk again as like the monster that we know he is. So, but star rating, guys, critics love it. It's made $1 billion, but the most important thing is what do we think about it? Carson, I'm gonna go with you. 5-star rating. What would you give Brand New Day?
Let's see. I feel like whenever I first walked out of the theater, it was about a 3.5. But after kind of digesting my feelings and thinking about it, I think that it's been bumped up to a 4 for me. I'm curious. I'm meeting a friend to go see it on Friday, so I'm curious to see if the 4 stars holds. So yeah. I guess I'll find out, and maybe somebody else will if I remember to tell you guys.
I'm going to go the same. I was really debating between a 3 and a 4. But the more I kind of sit on it, I'm like, you know what? There's way too much that I enjoyed about this movie than what I just kind of did not enjoy about it. I can be honest. I know for sure that if MJ and Ned were in the movie, I think this would be a solid 3.5. But I'm going to go with a 4 as well. I think it went back to basics. We got an actual, very good Spider-Man story arc. We got very good character development. We got a good origin story that you don't need to waste a full movie on Jean. You could bring her right in now. So that was very smart. Just an overall fun movie. And I think, I'm going to sit with a 4.
Yeah, 3 for a 4. The performances, the action sequences, the back to basics. I thought this was a very mature, a lot of emotional weight for this to be a Spider-Man movie. I think this is, I don't know about, we didn't really even talk about this, but I think this is Tom Holland's best performance as Peter Parker Spider-Man throughout his career playing this character. Yeah, there's so much good in it that it really tips the score to a 4. I almost gave it a 4.5 because I actually do the rewatch. I think the rewatchability is there for this one because I think all of us want to go see it again. So yeah, it's 4 for me for right now, and I'm glad we got to talk about some Spider-Man. You know, we're going to take a break from Marvel for a little bit till Doomsday comes out, which I think there's a good healthy about 5 month break between this and Doomsday. We're not going to Doomsday in October. You know, we get a little bit of a break from this.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, guys, go check out Spider-Man Brand New Day. I guess the goal now is to get it to 2 billion, to try and outdo Avatar in the box office at this point. So, next week, it's going to be a little bit of a different show. Johnny, you want to talk about what we're doing next week?
We're talking physical media. Like we did an episode of physical media earlier last year. This one is it's going to be the same. Notebook notes, everything is just going to be completely tossed out. No note taking for this one, no star rating, no favorite scenes. We're just going to be a bunch of guys hanging out, talking about why physical media is still a must grab and what the big difference is between streaming versus physical media and why you need physical media in your life.
Why you need your own Blockbuster back there.
Yeah.
So I've recently had some beef with Sony because they've announced that they're going to discontinue making physical video game discs, and I like physical media. And so whenever the Sony logo popped up at the front of this movie, I leaned over to my wife and was like, so
that's funny. I forgot that was even a thing until you brought that up.
I'm hoping they don't do that with movies as well.
And that's what's frustrating and frightening. That's what we're going to talk about next week. Is if Sony's willing to do that with video games and its own PlayStation system, how much longer is it until they do that with the Blu-ray?
Yeah.
So that's what's going to be a little. And we're not just going to talk movies next week. We're going to talk all kinds of physical media, cassettes, CDs, vinyl, video games, everything that you could take and own. We're going to talk about it next week. So I can't wait. It's a unique episode. The last episode, we were hanging out for like an hour and a half, and we looked up and we were like, oh my, the whole evening is almost gone. Yeah. So, we're going to bring back a part 2 next week and kind of just hang out, man, and talk, physical media. So, and we're going to talk all different kinds too. Still books, digibooks, box sets, all different kinds. So it should be fun next week. If you're a physical media lover, hang out with us next Tuesday as we talk physical media next week.
Very nice. And then just kind of wrapping out that'll be August the 11th. August the 18th, we talk about another big hit for 2026. We're talking all about Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling, which you can stream on Amazon Prime right now. And then we end the month of August with Johnny's choice, Boys in the Hood, which will be an interesting conversation. So yeah, guys, any final thoughts on Spider-Man Brand New Day before we get out of here and head towards the day of doom later this year?
I have one scene I wanted to pitch to you guys that I think should have been in the movie. I think that throughout the movie we see Peter using what I assume are Sony brand electronics, computers and phone. I think that it would have been great to have just a quick scene of Spider-Man dumpster diving and grabbing some computers that people had thrown out and then taking them back and fixing them up in his apartment. But I just have this image of Spider-Man diving into water, but into a garbage can and just. But
it has to be all Sony products that are obsolete now.
Yeah.
See, what's so funny you bring that up is just I saw a commercial for that flip phone right before the movie started and the whole commercial time. And later in the, Peter Parker uses that in the film. Oh, that's great advertisement.
Yeah. When you said dumpster diving, I thought of Peter Parker diving in and bringing in a big old IBM pizza tower box to help with his command center.
Yeah.
So that's funny.
Yeah. So any final thoughts for Brand New Day before we get out of here?
Go see it.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
guys.
honestly, from the box office, it seems like you
We already
probably
have.
have seen
Yeah.
it.
The whole world is winning solid, and it'll make, it has no competition this week, so it'll make some more money. So, but until then, guys, until next week, until we talk physical media, I'm Zach, Johnny, Carson. Thank you for coming on the show, talking some Spider-Man, and we will be back next week with a brand new issue of the Cine-Men movie podcast.
Texas football less than 3 weeks away.